Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering some methods that I use to prepare myself physically and mentally for my Jiu Jitsu competitions. So obviously training and competition are two very different things. One, you're going to be fighting technically, and one, you're going to be pulling every move out of your arsenal at 100% intensity to try and destroy your opponent. But they have one thing in common. They're both great for improving your Jiu Jitsu, and I would recommend competing to anyone. I just want to say that I am a white belt and I'm still figuring some things out, but I do take the competition preparations quite seriously. So if you're a competitor, you're going to love this. So there's two segments in this video. One is physical preparations and one is mental preparations. We're going to get started with the physical prep. So let's go. So first for a reason is obviously training. In the lead up, you want to be going to as many sessions, getting as many rounds in and as much mat time as you possibly can. And make sure you're training with good partners. You don't want to risk getting injured and having to pull out of the competition on 2 weeks' notice. 4 weeks out, I'll start training 5 times a week compared to my usual 3 or 4. And I'll also do an hour of one-to-one lessons a week. We learn new techniques and also refine the ones that we've been doing in training. So do that for about 3 weeks. And then in the week leading up to it, I'll train on the Monday or the Tuesday and then give myself 5 or 6 days to fully recover, fully rest, do the rest of my preparations for the comp. Also, about 4 weeks out, I'll fully dial in on my diet and my weight management. I spoke in a previous video about the importance of fueling yourself for training to make sure you don't get injured, but it also applies to competition preparations as well. Make sure you're fueling yourself correctly so you can make the most out of absolutely every session and not one goes missed. Also, if you have to cut a bit of weight like myself, I know some people don't, but if you do, I'd keep a close eye on your weight in the weeks leading up to the fight. For my last competition, I didn't do that, and I was 73 kilograms a week before, fighting at 68. So I had to lose 5 kilograms in a week, and that week I only ate beef mince once a day and protein shakes. It wasn't enjoyable. Unlike UFC fighters, we don't have a massive period of time where we can rehydrate and get our weight back on. So if you're sitting in the sauna for 30 minutes, drinking 100 mils of water, trying to get all the water weight out, that's not a good idea, and maybe you should consider fighting at a higher weight. If you are fighting seriously dehydrated or malnourished, you're not going to be fighting half as good as you would be if you weren't. So either plan the cut ahead of time and lose weight at a slow and steady pace, or just fight at a higher weight. So next is strength and conditioning. Strength and conditioning is a crucial part in any sport at a high enough level. Competitions are a lot different to training, and you're going to take a much harder beating than you would in the gym. So it's important you train your body to be able to withstand this beating as best as possible. Obviously in Jiu Jitsu, technique will always prevail over strength, but imagine if you were twice as strong with immaculate technique. You'd be unbeatable. Develop a tailored strength and conditioning program for yourself, implement it into your regime, and maximize your chances of bringing home a medal. Things like the assault bike, the rowing machine, running and swimming are all going to increase your cardio to allow you to fight harder and for longer. So it's crucial. Next is recovery, because in the lead up to my competitions, recovery is one of the main pillars in my preparations. I make sure I get 8 to 9 hours of quality sleep. Don't skip the quality, it's the most important part. I use a sauna and a cold plunge as much as I possibly can to reduce my muscle soreness in between sessions. So when I go back, I'm not aching and I can train hard and more often. I also have a stretching routine that I do either before or after training, as playing off my back is a big part of my game and I need to make sure I can stay flexible for that. So the final part of the physical preparations is drilling or positional sparring. Drilling specific moves and techniques and practicing specific moves at length is extremely beneficial for your training. If you drill an armbar 10,000 times, you're going to know it to a T. If you drill being on bottom position from side control 10,000 times, you're going to be completely confident in escaping that position. Now, obviously 10,000 times is a lot, and I'm not telling you to go and practice 10,000 arm bars to prepare. What I am saying is the more you practice something, the better you get and the more confident you get at that thing. Whether that's going to be escapes or submissions is completely up to you and how you like to fight. I personally like specific sparring from bad positions or my worst positions, so I can get a little bit more confident in those positions if they do end up happening in a match. The second segment is the mental preparations, and the first part of that is embrace the student mindset. Going into competitions, especially your first, is extremely nerve-wracking and you can feel like there's a lot of pressure on you, especially if people come to watch. So go into the competition with a student mindset, aka be willing and eager to learn. No matter who you are, where you train, or how often you train, there is always going to be some room for improvement in your jiu-jitsu game. So view the competition as an opportunity to learn and get better. Going into the competition with a student mindset is going to alleviate a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, and lift a massive weight off your shoulders. And we all fight better when we're calm. Ideally, I like to have someone in my corner record the matches. So go into it, give it your all, perform as best as you can, and then take away the footage, analyze it, see what you did good, what you did bad, and then adapt your training accordingly. This is not only going to improve your chances of winning the tournament, but it's the best way to learn from your mistakes and improve your jiu-jitsu game as a whole. Next is being present. Now, being present is something that a lot of us struggle with nowadays. With access to all the world's information at our fingertips, we're getting drawn more and more out of the present moment day by day. Now, this isn't a self-help video, and I'm not trying to pitch you my meditation retreat, but what I will say is you need to try your best to stay present on the day of the competition. So on the competition day, I like to either leave my phone in my locker or give it to someone to hold for the day. I like to be fully in the moment. I close my eyes, I control my breath, and I visualize myself winning. Our minds have immense power, we just don't know how to harness it. Now, I'm a firm believer in manifestation and visualization, but if you're not, maybe give it a try. It might surprise you. So next is focusing on progress and not just result-based goals. With many things, we have to measure multiple factors to truly understand improvement. For example, if you base your fat loss only by the number on the scale, when that starts to plateau, you're going to feel pretty disheartened. You may have a lot more muscle and a lot less fat than when you started, but seeing that number start to plateau on the scale can have a big impact on whether you even keep trying or not. Jiu-Jitsu is the same. Of course, when you're signing up to compete, your main goal is to win. And that's a great goal to have. But set yourself progress-based goals rather than results-based goals. For example, in my first competition, I placed 17th and lost 3 out of 4 matches, all to armbar. In the one after that, I placed second, won 5 out of 6 matches, and even got an armbar for myself. Progress. Now, it's not the dream result, but I would say it's a lot better than the previous competition. It's impossible to base your skill level or your progress on one factor, like a medal. Set the goal of winning the gold medal, but also focus on some progress-based goals, like maintaining a good defense, or executing some techniques you've been practicing in training, or keeping good pressure on your opponent at all times. All progress-based goals, but all measure your improvement. This approach is going to shift your focus from the outcome to the overall progress and performance of the matches. So next is having a strong game plan. If it's your first competition, know that when your opponent touches hands, they're going to come at you with everything they have. And it's important to prepare for that. Develop a game plan with your coach, know what you want to do with your opponent, and make sure you play into your strengths. If you're a good guard player, pull guard. If you're good at wrestling or judo, try to take the opponent down and secure the position. My game plan for the last competition was take them down, side control, mount, and see what arises from there. And that's because I'm strong in those positions. Now, this worked in 3 of my matches, but when it doesn't work, you have to be prepared to adapt. Now, adaptability is also crucial, so you don't panic and lose your shit when your opponent does something that you weren't expecting. It's important to stay calm, breathe, and analyze the best move from the position that you've been put in. Now, last and most importantly is the mindset shift that you need to get into competition mode. Now, I've left this point for last because I would say it's the most important part of my preparations. When you walk onto the mat for the first time on competition day, you're essentially signing a death warrant. Your opponent is going to come at you with everything until you either surrender or die. Now, obviously that's very extreme, but my brother told me at my last competition, he said, when you go on the mat, you have to be prepared to kill and prepared to die. Obviously, you don't want to end up in either of those situations, but you have to be prepared. This changed the course of my actions massively. I sat down with my headphones in, eyes closed, and was blasting heavy metal before I went on for my first match. Switched my mind from rest to attack mode, and it's hard to pinpoint one single thing, but I think the mindset shift played an enormous part of my success in my most recent competition. Now, those are the main things that I do to prepare myself for competition. But remember, it's not a world championship. The main goal of the competition is to go in, do your best, have fun, and improve your jiu-jitsu. Winning a gold medal is obviously a bonus, but the main thing is that you're improving and challenging yourself. A friend of mine and also a competitor said this to me before my most recent competition, and I'll leave you with this. The result doesn't matter. It's a personal battle. If you go out there, give everything you can give and leave all of it on the mats, that's a victory. The only way you can lose is if you give up on yourself. Fight for every position until you can't fight anymore. Then, you know in your heart, it was a victory. Peace.